Ethan had just moved into the old Victorian home, a choice that came more from necessity than preference. It was cheap and available, but it felt off from the beginning. Yet he convinced himself it was perfect. A place to rebuild. On his first night, as he unpacked, he noticed something odd. The house had a way of holding on to sounds, like whispers that trailed long after he'd spoken, echoes lingering in rooms long emptied. But that night, as he lay in bed, he heard something different, a whisper, barely audible as if it came from the walls themselves.
"Welcome home."
He sat up, straining to hear. The voice was gone, leaving only the hum of silence. Laughing it off his nerves, he rolled over, determined to sleep. But as he closed his eyes, a chill ran down his spine. He knew he was alone, yet something in the air felt wrong. Unseen eyes seemed to watch from the darkness. Days turned into weeks, and the whispers grew bolder. At first, they seemed distant, slipping between the creaks and groans of the house. But soon, they spoke directly to him. In the dead of night, he'd hear them murmuring his name, the words slithering into his ear, as though someone was leaning close, unseen.
"Ethan."
Every night, he lay paralyzed, his heart hammering as shadows danced across the walls. He'd see dark shapes moving in the corners of his vision, but when he turned to look, they'd vanish, leaving nothing but an eerie stillness behind. One night, as he brushed his teeth, he saw something behind him in the bathroom mirror. A shadow, standing close, its eyes sunken, void of life.
"Get out."
He spun around, but there was nothing there, only the chill that remained. The whispers grew louder, their words becoming more coherent, hinting at something sinister. Desperate for answers, Ethan went to the town's records office. Days of digging through faded papers led him to an old newspaper clipping, yellowed with age, recounting a tragedy from nearly a century ago. The article told the story of Samuel Thorne, a man who'd once owned the house. Samuel had been found dead under suspicious circumstances, his body discovered after neighbors reported a rancid stench emanating from the house. There were rumors, murmurs of betrayal, of debts owed and lives ruined. The locals whispered that Samuel had been swindled by a former friend, left penniless and alone. He had vowed revenge, but before he could exact it, he died, clutching something in his hands that no one ever found. Ethan's blood ran cold. He felt that he'd disturbed something ancient, a soul that had waited far too long for peace. Yet as he returned to the house, he realized the whispers had only grown louder, and now they had a purpose. That night, Ethan lay awake, knowing that something was coming. As he watched, the shadows began to shift, twisting into shapes that filled his room with darkness. The whispers now formed clear sentences, one haunting line at a time.
"I was betrayed, Ethan. Justice is owed. You are part of this."
He covered his ears trying to drown out the voices, but they only grew louder, a cacophony of demands and accusations. Desperate, he yelled back,
"What do you want from me?"
The whispers stopped. Silence fell heavy over the room. In the stillness, Ethan felt a frigid hand brush his shoulder, and a voice close to his ear hissed,
"Give me what I am owed."
Ethan's hands trembled as he grasped the mirror, his reflection fading to reveal the outline of a figure behind him. Samuel, face twisted in torment, eyes burning with malice. Panicked, Ethan dug through every floorboard, every crack, until he found it, a small, rusted metal box hidden in the walls. He wrenched it open to reveal a bundle of brittle papers. They were deeds, contracts, proof of Samuel's ownership, long buried by deceit. The air grew colder, and he felt Samuel's presence looming, a weight pressing down on him. The whispers now filled his mind, each word searing itself into his memory.
"You are connected to this. The blood ties bind us."
Ethan's heart pounded as he realized that Samuel's spirit wasn't just haunting the house, it had bound itself to him. He was part of the curse now, a new vessel to carry Samuel's suffering. Determined to free himself, Ethan gathered the documents and raced to the authorities, spilling every detail of Samuel's tragedy as though it were his own. It felt like a confession, a desperate plea for release. The officers took the documents, and as he left, he felt lighter, as if some weight had lifted. But that night, as he lay in bed, he heard a final whisper, barely more than a breath, but clear enough to freeze his blood.
You think it's over? Shadows never truly leave.
The house fell silent, but as Ethan drifted off, he felt something press against his ear, close enough that he could feel its icy breath. If you've enjoyed this bone-chilling tale of shadowed whispers and lingering curses, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There's another eerie story waiting on the screen that you won't want to miss. And remember, when shadows come whispering, be careful what you hear. See you in the next story, unless the shadows find you first.